This is a demonstration of problem 728A, preparing a bank reconciliation and journal entries. Davidson Insurance received the following bank statement, and the problem gives us Davidson's bank statement for December. So we see that we start out with the beginning balance, and then the bank statement shows all of the deposits and other credits that were added to our bank balance, and then all of the checks and other debits that were subtracted to get the ending balance for the bank for December. Next, the problem gives us the cash receipts and the cash payments for Davidson in the books for December, and it gives us the balance at the end of December as well as other information that we will use as we reconcile the bank statement and make the journal entries. So the first thing you need to do when you're reconciling the bank statement is to compare the cash receipts that are shown in the books with the cash receipts that are in the bank statement. So we see that the $4,240 deposit, the $550 deposit, the $600 deposit, and the $1,900 deposit that are recorded in the books have been recorded in the bank statement. But we see that the last deposit that we made for the month on December 31st of $1,860 has not made it into our bank statement. It's not shown. So that amount will be included on the bank side of the reconciliation as an addition. The next thing we need to do is to compare the checks that we have written for the month with the bank statement to see if all of the checks have cleared. We see that check 1416 cleared, check number 1417 cleared, 1418 cleared, and we do see that 1419 cleared, but it has cleared at a different amount than what we showed it's at in our books. So the problem tells us that the correct amount for check 1419 for rent expense was actually $1,930, but the controller mistakenly recorded the check for $1,390. So we will have to correct that in our books for the difference of $540. And then we don't see where checks 1420, 1421, or 1422 cleared the bank. So these three checks will be shown on the bank statement as a bank subtraction. Next, we're going to compare what is on the bank statement to see if all of those amounts are recorded in the books. So we see that the bank shows that they received by EFT $350, and we do not have that recorded. So that will be shown as a book addition on the bank reconciliation. And we also see a collection that was made on the 22nd for $1,400, and we do not have that amount either, so that will be a book addition. The additional information in the problem tells us that the EFT amount for $350 was for rent revenue, and the $1,400 collection was for a note receivable. Next, when we look at the checks and other debits, we see that the bank has subtracted from our account an insufficient funds check. So what that means is that a customer wrote us a check for $400, we deposited it into our account, and the bank had already given us credit for it, but then the customer did not have that amount in their account, so the check was returned to us. So we will have to include that on the bank reconciliation as a book subtraction. Next, we see an EFT debit that came out of our account for $225, and the problem tells us that that was for an insurance payment. So that also will be a book subtraction. We've already talked about that we will be correcting our books for the $1,390 that we recorded when the amount was actually $1,930. And then we'll also have a book subtraction for the service charge of $10. So now that we have looked at all of the information that was on the bank statement and compared it to our records, we are ready to do the bank reconciliation. Now the bank reconciliation will be reconciling both the bank and the book balances to the correct adjusted balances. So neither one of them right now are correct. So we'll be reconciling both of them, and they both have to equal when we're finished. So first we're going to do the bank side of the reconciliation. And to do that, we start with the ending bank balance that we were given on the bank statement. Now we need to add any deposits in transit, and we know that we had one deposit in transit of $1,860. That amount has not yet been recorded by the bank, so we would add that. Next, we're going to subtract those 3 outstanding checks that had not cleared the bank. So these 3 checks did not clear the bank, so those are all going to be a bank subtraction. So $1,490 for check 1420, $700 for 1421, and then $600 for 1422. So the total of the outstanding checks was $2,790. So we took our beginning bank balance, we added our deposit in transit and got a subtotal. We subtracted the outstanding checks, and now we have an adjusted bank balance at December 31st, 2024 of $18,025. So now we need to do the book side of the bank reconciliation, and you start with the book balance that was given in the problem at the end of December of $17,450. Now we're going to add those 2 collections of $350 and $1,400 that the bank collected for us for the rent and the note, and we did not have those recorded in our books. So those 2 amount equals $1,750. And now we're going to correct and record the items that were in the checks and other debits. So the first item we're going to correct is for check 1419. So the check was actually correct at $1,930, but was recorded in the books at $1,390. So the difference is $540, and we need to subtract that, and we will be making a journal entry to correct it. Then we had the insufficient funds check, so we will be putting that amount back on that customer's account since their check did not clear. Then we also had a $225 insurance payment that came out of our account EFT, and we had the $10 service charge that the bank charged us for the month. So the total of the subtractions is $1,175. So we started with the balance that was in our books. We added those 2 amounts that the bank collected for us that we had not yet recorded, and we're subtracting the amount for the correction of the errors, the insufficient fund check, the EFT, and the service charge, and we get the adjusted book balance at December 31st, 2024 of $18,025, which equals the amount that we adjusted for the bank balance. So we have reconciled our bank and book to the correct amount, which is $18,025. Now we're going to record the actual journal entries for all of the amounts that are on the book side. So the first thing is to record the $350 that was collected by the bank for rent revenue. So we would debit cash and we would credit rent revenue for $350. Next, we will record the $1,400 that was received by the bank for the note. So we would debit cash and credit notes receivable for $1,400. Next, we're going to correct our rent expense because we had recorded the wrong amount for check 1419. So we would debit rent expense for $540 and credit cash for the same amount. Next, we're going to put the $400 back in accounts receivable for the insufficient fund check by debiting accounts receivable and crediting cash for $400. Next, we're going to record the insurance expense that was taken out of our account. So we would debit insurance expense for $225 and credit cash for the same amount. And last, we're going to record the bank service charge. So we would debit bank expense for $10 and we would credit cash for the same amount. If you notice, we started out or had a book balance of $17,450. So when we add the two deposits that the bank collected for us and then we subtract the correction of the book, the error in check 1419, the insufficient funds check, the insurance payment, and the service charge, we see that at the end now, after all of our journal entries are posted, our cash account does have the correct balance of $18,025. And that is the conclusion of the demonstration for problem 728.